All right. All right, all right, all right. All right, just got to make sure that I am coming through here. I've been just messing around a lot today, guys, doing a whole lot of things. And what can I say? The time just snuck up on me. 12 o'clock, I was out doing a little shopping. I had to get a little piece of equipment, something that I was waiting for it to come out, and it came out, but it seemed like it was sold out everywhere online because I was going to buy it offline, and it wasn't available. So I was like, So I found it at Target, long story short, and had to make sure that I got back here and I could get back here with you guys. So we're going to start this show. We got some things to talk about. It's Talk It Out Tuesday. Talk It Out Tuesday. All right, with Tori and Miss Tonya. And we're going to be talking about things that not only affect women, but listen, man, these things affect you too. So we got to stop this whole blame game, all of this stuff that we got going on. We got to stop this. Because the very same things, a lot of the same things, I won't say everything, but a lot of the same things that affect us, they affect you too, brothers. So you can't blame us. As sisters, we can't blame them. A lot of the same things are affecting both of us. We got to realize that. We got to take ownership of that. And we got to realize that, hey, we got to work together. We must. We got to. All right. Well, it's another Tuesday, another Talk It Out Tuesday. And I want to get into the conversation because I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I want to know if you're tired too. So I want you to get in these conversations. I want you to get in this conversation. I want you to get in these comments and let's talk this thing out. Let's figure out how we can work this whole thing out. Before we go too far, before we get too much into the conversation, before I bring Tori into the conversation, you know what we got to do? We got to do some breath work. We got to do that breath work because we need to breathe. We do. Get ourselves centered a little bit. Get into some good headspace. All right? Let's do this thing. What I want you to do is inhale to the count of 4. And we're going to hold it for a few seconds. And then we're going to exhale. And we'll hold that for a few seconds. And we'll repeat that a few times. Now, you can close your eyes if you're in a place that you can do that. I don't want you to do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're actually sitting at the desk. If you got your head pods on and you're taking a listen, we'll vibrate with us and listen. But if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. You want to take it a step further, put your hands over your heart and feel that you are alive. That's you. Let's get into it. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. One more time. Let's inhale. Hold it a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Didn't that feel great? All right. Had my mic on mute. I'm back. Feels real good, guys. Feels real good. How you doing, Cynthia? Good to have you in the house with us here today. It's Talk It Out Tuesday. You know, we always get in here and we have these conversations. We got one for you here today. I'm going to go ahead and bring Tori on into the conversation. Let me find Tori. Tori, where you at?
What it do? What it do? Hey, everybody. Hey everybody. Hey Cynthia, what's up? Hey brother Fatim, was great seeing you as well. He says, good afternoon, my good sisters, Tanya and Tori. Great to see you both last night and meet you in person, Tanya. That's what's up. It was great to see you as well. Glad you was able to stop through and definitely come back when they do it again.
Oh yeah. It was hey, last night was pretty good. In fact, before we get into the conversation, before we get into the Talk It Out Tuesday, last night we did some talking, right?
Yes, we did.
Mm,
Some talking. Yes, sir, we did.
yeah, we did.
Whew.
And
And I had
really
some conversations I didn't know I was gonna have to
now, what you mean you had some conversations you didn't know you were gonna have?
have.
Am I asking too much for a live?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we gonna move on. We gonna move on. But last night was really really cool. In fact, before you know what, I think Tawan she put some pictures up on her page. So let me go to
She
her
did.
page and share. Let me share my screen. You know, as the folks usually say, you know, I sound one of those old. My daughter said when I say let me share my screen, she said you sound like those old 2020 Zoom meetings. I was
That
like,
makes
do you have to talk about your mama like that? I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if that's how I sound, all right. But that's what I'm trying to do. All right.
yeah.
So last night was Tori help me out. I just had a little brain fog.
Conversation, cigars, conversation, and cocktails. I don't know if I said it right, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. Conversation, cocktails, cigars, all three of those were involved. Now, which order they go in, don't blame me. Don't blame me. But it was a really, really good night. We had some really good conversations. And here's a few pictures. Let me show some Tawan pictures here. Of course, we've got Tawan at the Leaf Lounge. Listen, was she an extra added value to the panel or what?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tawan came through. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Hmm. She has something to say, and I'd be doggone if she didn't say it. All right.
Yeah, she
Got some
said what
people
she
out. Go ahead.
yeah, she said what she said and meant what she said.
She did. She did. So I'm just going through. So, you see our panel here. We had Icy Tay on the panel, who's always, a good person to have at any event. She also DJs. Mr. Pettyville in the building. We can't do this without Mr. Pettyville. We had Bruce in there. It was great conversation. There, you can see Bruce. He got the mic in his hand right there. But great
Yeah.
conversation. The panel had a lot to say. We had some good people in the house. Good conversation. It was great. That was pretty early. You could still see the sun out. But the room got a little more packed, once we got into it. But listen,
Yeah.
I feel like, we talked about some things that it kind of left me thinking, and that's really kind of why the subject today.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really where I'm coming from, to be honest, because I'm like, listen, we got to stop this whole blame game thing. You know, that's what it
Right.
seems like to me.
Right.
And last night, we had a lot of different conversations going on, and what I realized is this:
Mhm.
the same things that we seem to have this verses about, like the things that women are blaming men for, the things that men are blaming women for. I mean, it affects both of us, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And specifically the conversation that I kind of wanted to talk about is, and I don't know if this is true, so that's why I'm not going to put the post up, but I'll kind of introduce it. But remember when we were talking about the scenario of Yandy and Mendici, somebody had a post up where they were saying like he's supposedly upset because she's pretty much career driven, and basically he's not happy with that. He's not happy with the situation. He feels like she's not doing as much as she should be doing at home. Long story short. So that took me and that made me think beyond just that specific story. It made me think about, well, in regular people's lives, in our lives, where we have women who are working outside of the homes, who are doing many, many things, is it okay for the man to be a stay-at-home dad? And I really kinda wanted to talk about that a little bit more, so I hope we have some people in the, chat who might wanna join us in conversation. Let's talk about that because is that a problem? Because we got into a little debate where we was, there was one guy who was saying, "Well, the man didn't sign up for that." And what really made me question where he was coming from because I'm like, "But these are his kids. These are his responsibilities." When a couple decides to get married, they have children, why is it automatically thought that the woman, the mother, has to be the one who stays home and be the main care provider and caregiver of the children? What is your thought?
For me, it wouldn't bother me if I'm career driven as long as my children are well taken care of. It wouldn't bother me as well. But some men look at it as a weakness when they're staying at home because men are always looked upon as being the providers. But that's not always the case. And everybody's situation is different. But me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, remember the room last night. Think about the
Mhm.
room.
Mhm.
I mean, we had some men in there who felt like, the woman really has to be the one to be the main care provider. Did you not sense that, or was I taking that the wrong way?
No. It was definitely that. But when he said that the man didn't sign up for that, we was like, "Wait a minute, hold on. Aren't those your kids though?" So I
Right.
was I was confused about that comment. I was confused about that, but yeah,
That is
definitely.
that is
I
exactly
think
what I'm
it
saying.
wouldn't bother me.
No, okay, yeah, it wouldn't bother us, but I do find that, and it's not just this situation, but there are just so many
Mhm.
situations and so many topics that we want to kind of get on the man versus woman side,
Mhm.
and every time I think we step away from it, there comes this conversation or this post or something where it just boom, it brings it right back up again, like it's a really big clickbait. I'm sick of it. But I do think that it's
Mhm.
something that we need to talk
Right.
about because there is nothing wrong with a man staying at home and being the caregiver of the children if the woman is actually the breadwinner.
Right.
We
Right.
gotta step outside of this in these gender roles. And the thing for me that was really interesting is because this was a relatively young man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't know exactly how old he was, but I don't imagine
Mhm.
I imagine he's somewhere 30s, if he's 40s, not, you know, early 40s, if that. So, I was really, really surprised. These young men have some I thought that they would probably be of the generation to be able to, understand like, "Hey, these are my kids too. How are we gonna work this out?" Um, but one of the young brothers was like, "Hey, if he didn't sign up for this, well, I feel like this. If you didn't sign up for it, you didn't need to be having kids. You need to be using some extra duty protection." You dig what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even with your wife.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but that brings me, you know what? That brings me to think about something else too.
Mhm.
The protection piece. Because as we are living now in this crazy political, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what's happening in this world, in this nation. But as we are watching so many of our rights being stripped away as it relates to um, reproduction, I think they're going
Mhm.
way too far, way too far, you know?
Right.
And I think I don't think that we are talking about it enough. And not just women, and this too also, if we really want to add this to the mix, the reproductive rights being stripped from women, this affects men too. And I don't know if men are really looking at this and really thinking about how this will generally affect them. Because if you're talking about reproductive rights and contraception being so policed, that's going to affect you because now it's really making women be a lot more choosy in terms of having sex with you. At least that is my thought. That is a woman who is thinking because you aren't going to have many choices. It's like women are being forced almost to bear children. And it should be a choice. So if that is going to be the case, this is going to affect you, man. This is going to affect you. There's going to be a lot of women who are just not going to give you the time of day because it's not going to be worth the risk to her. Now, we could say that, maybe that should be something that women should always be thinking of, right? But when your back is up against the wall, when you have no choice, I think a lot of women are just not going to want to be bothered. But talk to me.
Bothered with as far as having kids, or is that what you're saying?
Well, you're not being given a choice. I mean, bothered with men. If the risk of not being able to have a choice in terms of your contraception because they're taking away Plan B, who knows how much further they would go. You understand what I'm saying? So birth control
Oh,
and right.
Yeah.
So if you don't have like reproductive and birth control rights, if you don't have those choices in your hand, like I feel like your choice is going to be like, well, hey, I'm not even going to be out here. I'm not even going to be bothered like that.
Yeah,
That's when
that's true. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Because not all women want children. So yeah, I agree. If they're taking away things as Plan B and other things, then definitely there can be
right.
some single women that don't even entertain anything at this
Right.
point. Yeah. So I
So
get
I
what you're
feel
saying.
I feel like it's an issue that men definitely need to be looking at too. This is not just a woman's issue. This is all of our issue. And when women stop
Right.
messing with y'all, let me tell you something. You ain't gonna like that. There's gonna be a lot of lonely brothers out here. A lot of lonely men out here. Because these women are not gonna put themselves through it because they don't have a choice. The
Right.
choice, you know what the choice is going to be? The choice is going to be to stop messing around with you. And if that's the choice,
Mhm.
brother's going to fall on the bad side of that. So I feel like men need to understand and they need to be in these conversations as well. They need to think about the decisions that they're making politically as well. They need to realize that supporting us in these issues is supporting themselves.
Right. Right.
Now, I don't know if we have any brothers in the comments yet who might want to share a little something, but it's definitely something that we should be thinking about. But I see we
Mhm.
got a lot of people coming on in here in the comments, so let's get on in here and see what's going on.
A lot of comments came through.
Wow, I had no idea.
At 12:11, Jamel, Donald, and I'm looking at their comments. Jamel says, "I will stay at home." And Donald also says, "I don't have a problem with it, but that's not for me."
Right. Well,
Yeah.
listen, I respect that because
Mhm.
the same way that Donald's saying he doesn't have a problem with that, but it's just not for him. Guess
Mhm.
what? There are women who, you know, feel like staying at home with the kids is not for them either. There are women who want to work outside of the home because staying at home is not for them. They're not
Mhm.
homemakers. They're not the caregiver. And I know women who are like that.
Mhm.
I have nothing against that. I totally get it. I
Right.
get it on both sides.
And Cynthia says, "Hence the soft man era where they say drizzle, drizzle, but I do feel it's a certain type."
What do you what is she saying? I don't get it.
The drizzle drizzle is mostly from what I'm gathering, the drizzle drizzle is what the term I'm thinking, I'm not sure, but I heard that term on, I wanna say TikTok or some type of social media, and I wanna say that's kind of, you know how you hear people talk about the sassy man or whatever? I think that's what that's referring to, but I'm not sure. Cynthia clarify. I think that's what she mean by that. The
Okay.
the soft air men where the men are more feminine than the women. That's what I think, but I'm not sure. And Cynthia also says you have business running through your blood, bro. And then Amina says the mindset that men raise money and women raise children is a societal construct that was once a social norm, but it's being challenged as it should. Everyone should do what's best for them, but it's challenging to do so because living alternative lifestyles naturally challenge societal norms, which make those conforming to the norms uncomfortable. Men can be and should be nurturers too. I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get it.
And Kimberly says, I wonder why adults, all caps, aren't having real conversations about what makes sense for their own household. No one else has to understand nor agree. Take away the norms and do what is best for you and yours. The home and the kids must be taken care of however y'all get it done. Absolutely. I agree.
I agree with that 1,000%. And guess what? Just the way that life
Mhm.
itself goes,
Mhm.
there will be times where, you know, maybe he's out of work and
Mhm.
then she becomes the breadwinner or she works outside of the home. Those roles can flop, you know?
Right.
So it doesn't
Right.
necessarily have to be a gender specific role, you know?
Mhm.
You
Right.
get to you gotta go with where the economy is, with what's going on in your life at the time. You don't know. You really don't.
Right. Right.
Where we at in the time? What
Malik 12:14. Malik says, because in nature, this is the way it would be, and we have a problem changing our mindsets. We are indoctrinated to believe things that will hinder growth. Those are old world schools of thoughts. We have evolved, and so should our ways in which we love together. I have been the caregiver for over 15 years. My queen worked 9 to 5s, and I have always been a go getter outside of the job formats. So we use our truths to create our family system. That's good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And within, when I was married, that role for me definitely went back and forth, flip-flop. There were times where I was in the home, and then there was times when he was in the home, and it was very and I see how
Mhm.
it helped the development of both our kids. We have a daughter and a son. So I saw how important that was. So I don't know how people are making, these young men are saying, "Hey, you're supposed to be," like, where did they get this from? I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Amina says, I agree. It comes down to whatever is understood in your household to be effective in your household should not be overly affected by the opinions of others outside of your household. Definitely. I
Right.
definitely agree with that.
Right. And the thing about it is this, social media definitely has made it worse. I mean,
Mhm.
because so many people are in the business, but I mean, we can't really say people are in the business because they wouldn't be inside of your business if the business wasn't posted.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I don't know what people expect. I don't know what their expectations are, but you can't worry about that.
Right. Brother Fatine says on paper, and for those couples that can agree with this can work. However, as a man, I wonder if I would feel like a total man if I wasn't going out in the world to provide for my family as well. I feel from an ego point of view, my manhood somewhat would be on the line with my spouse and with myself.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. I totally get
Mhm.
that. I totally
Yeah.
get that.
And
Yeah.
and and once again, that's how his household would be set up, and that is
Yeah.
fine, but that definitely shouldn't be the overall arc of how a family structure is supposed to be, because definitely it is not.
Right. Right. And Cynthia says, my soon to be 28-year-old daughter says she chooses not to have children.
Yeah, people are making those decisions. There are many women who make that decision as well as men.
Yeah.
Um,
And Malik says, I think that's a good thing though, because it forces women to really choose a good mate for them and vice versa. We have too much casual gallivanting.
well, hey,
And do.
I can respect that, but I wanna add something to
Yeah.
that. The
Okay.
reproductive rights are not just those of a single woman.
Mhm.
You can be a married couple and you could decide you still get to make decisions about what you want to do with your body. Just because you're married doesn't mean that you have to have that child. You still have that choice. And that's a
Mhm.
choice that you would make as a couple. It should be a choice that you make as a couple anyway if that is involved, but that is not always the opportunity because you're not always impregnated in an ideal situation. But I think every time we think about this particular subject, we are assuming that single women are getting the most abortions. Now, I do not know what the statistic is. I don't. But I do know that married women get abortions too. This is a birth control that married women have made that decision too. What if they're in a place, in a space that they choose not to have a child at that particular time? What if they have the amount of children that they've already decided that they may want to have? And you have that right. So let's not assume that this is just a single woman issue because it definitely is not. It is a
Mhm.
woman's issue, and then it's not just a woman's issue. It is all of ours. And I tell you something, men are going to see this. If the government, if these laws continue to be stripped away the way that they are, the lifestyle of how women are going to date and navigate, it is going to make a big difference. You think we have issues now? Listen to me. You're going to be totally ignored. You're going to be totally ignored in a whole lot of ways. It's
Mhm.
not a good thing, guys.
And Cynthia says men have been bamboozled into thinking the woman ratio is so high that some of them see no repercussions from what's going on now in those issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you missed one too. Cynthia also says, I have done both and I found serenity in both, but I wouldn't want to stay home until I'm retired. There was a comment that Amina at 12:19. Yes, men have been conditioned to perceive their value and contribution to be primarily monetary. This is why the financial empowerment of women can be upsetting for some men. Ooh, yeah.
It can be and uh I just feel like it shouldn't be.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be. You want to make sure that you're eating. You want to make sure that your kids are eating. You want to make sure that you are able to do the things that your finance allow you to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, all right.
I'm
Wow.
trying to see what
We
I'm
got a
trying to
whole
see
lot
what
of engagement. All right, Mr.
yeah, I'm looking
Pettyville
at the
in the
comments, see where we've gotten.
building. All right. How you doing, Kelly?
What's up, Kelly Kelly?
All right. We got
Crazy
Jamesa.
self.
Yeah, we got Jamesa in here. How are you doing, lady? Good to have you in the
What
house with us.
what's up, Jamesa?
Mhm.
And Malik says, and I think he was responding to Brother Fatim, the comment he made earlier. Malik says, as far as manhood, be clear. I change oil in our cars, fix what's broken, cut grass, and still earn money and work third shift job as well.
Exactly. And then, that's all good because I
Mhm.
feel like we have to do what we have to do. But there's some things in here that he's saying that he does as far as manhood, and that's not necessarily manhood. You're a man because you are a man because you know who you are. You dig what I'm saying? because I cut
Mhm.
grass and I ain't no man and I don't want to be a man. I very much love being a woman. So as you know, we talk about gender roles. These are just some of the things that I'm saying. And when I was married, my husband didn't cut grass. He didn't. He never got out there and cut any grass. That wasn't his thing. I like being out there. And it's not because, I can't pay someone to cut my grass because I could. I choose not to. Now, as I get a little older and when I can't do it out there anymore, then hey, I'll let somebody cut it. I'll pay somebody to do that. But that's something that I like to do. I don't see that as a gender role.
Mm. And Amina says the film. Now, how do you pronounce?
Chirac?
Okay, the
Chirac?
film Chirac addressed this perspective.
Hmm.
What
I
film is
haven't.
that? Is that something? I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to Google
Hmm.
that.
I will
And
too. I'm unaware.
Brother Fatine says the proportion of married women who have abortions in the United States can vary based on a range of factors, including demographics, economic status, and access to health services. As of the most recent data available up to 2020, about 14% of abortion patients were married, while an additional 31% were living with a partner but not married.
Right.
Okay.
So look at
Yeah.
so look at that. If you're talking about 14% were married and then the 31% were living with their partner,
Hmm.
that is 45%. So that is almost half. So we cannot think that these issues are single women issues. These are all of our issues. It's not even just a woman's issue. It is a family issue because over 45% of people who are together, who are partnered, are making this decision. When
Hmm.
you are forcing women to not have options of birth control, she is going to take the option of not dating you. You ain't getting none. That's going to be the option. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that's going to be the option. You got to think about that. This is all
Right.
of this is all of us, not
Mm.
just women. So we need to really focus on that. Um, that's a pretty big deal.
The quote of the day. There are no problems we cannot solve together, and very few that we can solve by ourselves. Lyndon B. Johnson. I like that quote.
Mhm, mhm.
I
We need
love
each
that.
other.
Yeah, we do. We
This is a
do.
we thing, not a me thing.
Right, right, right. And I'm glad you say that because I hate when some women say I don't need a man. You will never hear that come out my mouth.
Right.
I won't ever say that, but to each their own.
Hmm.
And Brother Fatine says, agreed, Tanya. Working on cars, cutting grass doesn't make you a man. And it's when you were talking about the gender roles, I'm like, for some women, doing outdoor chores like cutting grass and stuff is therapeutic. And some women the cooking is therapeutic. And for me, I don't like cutting grass and I don't like being in the kitchen. Now I'll wash dishes and clean up the house, do everything else all day long, but cooking is not one of the things that I like to do. So when I date, I
Hmm.
prefer to date men that like cooking because I don't like to cook. I actually was just having a conversation with a male friend of mine about that. I was like, man, I don't like being in the kitchen. But like some women, it's therapeutic for them. Me, I don't. I like to eat all day long, but I like to wash the dishes. I like the you know what I'm saying. I like to do other things, to wash up the clothes and all. But cooking is not something that I like to do.
Definitely. And I grew up in a household, and also I know men who cook. That's definitely not a
Yeah,
gender
yeah,
role at all, at all, at all. I
yeah.
see Malik is in here with a next comment.
Malik says, I disagree. I feel like that's how it should be. Women should overlook 80% of the men that they encounter anyway, and men too. Many folks be looking for the wrong thing. Sexual responsibility will change that, in my opinion, especially since I am a God-fearing man. The only reason I disagree with it is in the case of sexual abuse. It's definitely everyone who will be affected. I think women should hold the box more any wait a minute. I think women should hold the box more anyway. It will make men stand up. The vajayjay has what?
Well, it ran out of
It
characters.
cut out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah.
Uh,
Okay, Malik.
yeah. Well, you know what? We all are going to be able to have our opinions.
Yeah.
Right. This is not like we say. This is not a man versus women. This is definitely something that affects us all. What I
Mhm.
do want to say is, yeah, it could be your opinion that women should overlook 80% of the men that they come across, and you guys are going to keep saying that, and you're going to continue to say that, and you planted that seed until they are really going to stop fucking with y'all. They're going to
Mhm.
take your advice and not deal with you at all. And having reproductive choices does not mean, and nor would it ever mean, that you are not sexually responsible. Because to make certain decisions like that is making responsible decisions. So we can't allow our own personal view necessarily to just be cast out here and not know what people's individual circumstances may be. We just
Yeah.
we cannot do that. We
Okay.
should not. Well, I'll say we should not do that.
And Malik says the vajayjay power
Oh,
power
absolutely.
man. And
You
then
would.
Kelly said, yeah, and Kelly was shaking his head. I'm wondering, Kelly, are you referring to me not wanting to cook? Is that what you shaking your head about? No, I don't like to cook.
Hmm.
And Landon says that God fearing man every time gets overlooked because improperly defined.
Yeah, yeah. I feel you. I hear you. I hear you.
And Amina says, right, just like nurturing children and tending to creating a home doesn't make anyone a woman. This is why people have to learn to embrace men being nurturing. It's like saying men are men because if what they do robs them of their true essence, and that essence is not monolithic and varies according to the individual. Men deserve safe spaces to be more than what they do. They deserve to be too. The soft man era is because some men are embracing that they have a value beyond being a human doer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that a little bit last night in terms of, men having, being emotionally intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence is for all of us. That is
Mm-hmm.
that is not a gender thing, because we were talking about, how are they caring for each other? How are they in terms of having their friendship bonds? Because we as women we build those bonds. We build bonds where we're supporting each other in so many different ways, and we find ways even when certain women might be single in terms of childcare, in terms of like that village, women really find a way of building their village a lot of the times. Now
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be exceptions, but for the
Right.
most part, women tend to do that. We tend to be there for each other. So we
Mm-hmm.
were asking, I don't know what exactly the question was, but the topic came up. How are men doing that for each other? Oh, I remember. There was a post online where a guy said he just went in and he just blocked all of his friends because what happened is he had back surgery. And for over a month, he had been down and out, and not one of his friends called and checked on him. So he realized, like, hey, these guys don't really
Mm-hmm.
have my back. No pun here intended, but I got to let them go. And so that's how the conversation came about. Well, how do men show up for each other? Like, what type of emotional intelligence do you have for your brother? Are you there for each other? Do you guys do that? So it was nice to hear from their point of view, out of their mouths, how they like to be supported and how they are there for each other. So that was a good portion, good part of the conversation, actually.
Absolutely. 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 And then Malik says, I'm out the game, Tanya. I got my queen. We done with kids. So ladies can shut the block down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, I like what you said here.
Yeah.
You say, I'm out the game. I got my queen. We done with kids.
Mhm.
And there are people who have thought that there are married couples who feel the same way. And then I don't want to say
Mhm.
accident, but a pregnancy happened. And so now there's decisions that can be made. That's why sometimes you'll see, like, you ever hear about the women who are having kids in the change? The average 50-year-old woman is not out here thinking about having a baby. That happened in the change. They call that change baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, some women will go forth and have the child, but not all of them.
Right.
And that is my point. So I am so glad that you said that. There are a lot of women and couples who felt the same way. And then they find themselves making a decision, or at least having the option to make a decision
Mhm.
accordingly. It
Right.
happens. You didn't
Right.
plan it. Because no one, I can't imagine, but I can't imagine anyone planning to want to have an abortion. I don't think that's something that, we're little girls and you grow up and, I think I'm going to have an abortion. That's not a goal. That's
Mhm.
not a goal.
Yeah.
That is an
Yeah.
option.
Mhm. And Malik says, contrary to popular belief, men, we counsel each other. Our real ones all vent to each other. I'm glad of that for my circle. That's very
Yeah.
important to have people that, you can vent to
Hmm.
as well. And you don't have to worry about it being repeated. So
Right. Right.
that's
And
very
sometimes
important.
it's more than being repeated. Sometimes it's just good to be able to have a sounding board, because sometimes there's
Right.
just things that we just need to get off of our chest. You need to
Right.
you need to get it out, because I feel like that healing is going to begin when you can address it. When you really know that you can address something is when you speak it out of your mouth. You've got to admit it.
Right.
You've got to say it. You got to get it out.
Mhm.
So somebody's got to hear it. It's got to be outside of your head.
Right.
Just keeping that stuff inside and not voicing it, not being able to hear how it sounds, because there are things that we probably feel like we're right about. It's
Right.
going on in our minds, and we've got this feeling and we've got this conviction. But then when you can voice that, when you're
Mhm.
sitting across from someone, or just having a conversation with someone, and you hear what is coming out of your mouth, you might
Mhm.
have a different
Mhm.
interpretation. And then and especially when you can get an actual conversation, someone who may, if that is necessary, but someone who might give you an opinion, you can hear how they feel about it. Doesn't mean that you have to agree. You don't have to
Right.
agree, but it's good sometimes to hear other opinions, hear how certain people may have dealt with certain things, because it might help you, through your situation.
Right. Right. And Brother Fatin had a comment at 12:36 where he said, let me go back to it. He
Okay.
says, but my sisters, a lot of these roles that are being mentioned today have been gender roles passed down from generations to generations. Now, because of equality, these roles have been blurred and or changed.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right, but you're right. But who made the decision that those had to be specific roles for that specific gender? Like, we don't
Yeah.
even, yeah, they are passed down, but passed down from whom? Like, who made that decision? Was that the right
Yes.
decision? Because I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think that we are
Right.
moving backwards, or that we're making bad decisions because we feel like what needs to be done get done by whomever is best equipped to do it. I can't
Hmm.
imagine that to be a problem.
Right. And Landon says, I love watching y'all at work. The bonus check right there, right here. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, man, and thank you for being
And
a part of the
then,
conversation, because that's the whole idea. just Tori,
Right.
people got to take it off of here. That's what I like about what we did last night, and we do it every Monday. We have uh, cigars, conversation, and cocktails in
Mhm.
one of those orders, but we have all three of those.
Right.
And why I find that so incredibly important is because we are in a room together, in a space together, you know, seeing each other,
Mhm.
being in presence with
Yeah.
each other, um, having to have a conversation and actually disagreeing in a same room, but making it work because we can,
Right.
because we can
Right.
have different opinions. Just like online, somebody might say something and another person might not agree with it. And then they got the big bully fingers and they, spearing out all of this hate. Well, what do you do when you're face to face with people and disagree with
Mhm.
them? You've got to find a way to communicate. And that is what I like about those conversations, right?
Yeah.
And what I like
Yeah.
about this conversation is okay, well, it's almost the same thing. We're all in here, we're having different opinions. It's fine, but we
Mhm.
need to hear it. And I want you to take it off of here. Like, I need you to not just listen to us, I need you to let this be a conversation starter for you. To be like, hey, you know what?
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
listening to TIO Tuesdays with Tori and Miss Tonya, and they were talking about XYZs. Hey, because that's going to let you know. I feel like that's good to get to know a person. You
Right.
know where they stand. You kind of get an idea of their character in new
Right.
relationships and even in established relationships. It allows you to be able to talk about something that maybe you weren't able to talk about. You didn't know how to bring it up. So blame it on us. You could be like, guess what Tori said? I'm a blame it on you. Guess what Tori said?
Listen, and you know what I wanted and you know what I and you know what I wanted to touch on too before we run out of
Mhm.
time? You remember the question about, because I actually I actually agree with Kelly with something he said last night. You remember the question about, what a woman wears and the representation? Kelly was saying that
Mhm.
when a woman steps out, it's a representation of him, and when he steps out, that's a representation of her. And I agree with that because I'm trying to figure out how you word the question. If the guy tells you not to wear something if it's inappropriate, would you change your outfit? And the reason why I thought about that, because there's a situation where you know how guys get together, like they could have the Super Bowl game, and there was a situation where a friend of mine, they had the fellas over and they were watching a football game, and the wife came out and she was wearing something very inappropriate. And he's like, "Could you not be here while the fellas are here, or could you go change your clothes?" And she didn't feel like it was a problem. And I if I'm wearing something and my mate does not feel like it's appropriate, then I feel like I need to change my clothes. So when Kelly said that last night, you're represent, I totally agree with that. So, but that's not popular opinion, but it's not that he's telling you what to wear, how to wear it, but at some point you got to be respectful. And that situation, you don't want to be wearing something inappropriate in front of his friends. So I wanted to kind of mention that too, because I thought that was a good topic too.
Right, right. So let me get a clear understanding of the situation that you just brought up. So you said that the guy was having a Super Bowl or some kind of party at his house?
Yes, and the fellas, you know how men, they watch the
Right.
game, they get the platters and food and stuff, and they invite the guests over,
And
and
this was her house too.
sometimes,
But I mean,
yeah, it was her house too.
was this her house too?
Well,
Okay. And
yes,
so
yes, yes. They were married actually. They're married, and the fellas are over, and you know how they bringing out the platters and stuff, and she was helping, but what she had on was very inappropriate.
who decided that it was inappropriate?
If it's revealing Tanya, it's inappropriate.
Revealing. Okay, help me understand.
If
I need
you're
to know because she's at her house. She's
if
at
you're
home.
showing Tanya, if you can see if you have on shorts
Mhm,
and your cheeks are hanging out or
mhm.
your chest is very revealing, I think that's inappropriate. Me personally.
Okay.
I can't speak for everybody, but I think that's very important, especially with other men around. There's
Mhm.
certain things that you should wear only in front of your mate.
Well,
That's just my
that's your
opinion.
opinion. Right, 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 right. I
Yeah.
got you. I
Yeah.
realize that that is your opinion, and that is the opinion of a lot of people. And
Yeah.
we go to beaches, and we go to gyms, and we wear workout stuff, and she's at
Yeah.
her home, and
Yeah.
I wanna know why we have to make a woman's attire and what someone might consider revealing. Like, why can't a man have control over his own senses? Like, why are we putting that on her? Okay, so if these are his friends and they know that this is his wife and this is her house and whatever she has on is her business, like why can't you have control of your senses? Like why does your sex glands have control over your life? Like why
Mm-mm.
can you not have responsibility for that? Why does someone wardrobe have to like be policed because you don't have control over yourself? I
Mm-mm.
don't approve of that. Now, I don't necessarily even like saying what should be appropriate for someone. If you are comfortable in it, and certainly if you are in your home, I don't
Mhm.
know that I can tell you that it is appropriate or not. I can. I just don't know why it's not appropriate for you to have yourself in check. Why does your sex gland rule your life? Like you don't have that much control? You're an adult. You haven't had enough sex yet? You don't know what it's about? Like, that to me is a larger issue, but I'm certainly not gonna tell a woman what she should be wearing in her home. And I'm certainly not gonna say what is appropriate because I think it's appropriate for someone to be in control of themselves. I find that appropriate.
Right. Well, this we don't agree on this.
We don't have to.
We do
We
not
don't
agree because
listen, we don't
yeah,
have to. We don't
yeah,
agree on a lot of things. I'm not even saying that I'm right. I'm not even
yeah,
suggesting that, but I am suggesting that I feel like it would be appropriate for people to be in control of their own sexual urges. I think
yeah,
that's appropriate.
yeah. And Amina says abortions are not goals; they are options. Miss Tanya, woo, this humanizes this issue. Yes, I agree. Most little girls and grown women didn't grow up glorifying desiring to one day have an abortion. I needed that perspective shifter. And I'm looking at the comments based on what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Kelly and Les comments, and
Well, give me a timestamp.
12:51 is Les comment.
Okay. Let me find them. Wow, there were a lot of comments going on. Okay.
Les comment was 12:51. He said, "So if dude come out naked on girls' night, is that okay?"
If
And then,
well, can I answer that?
sure, okay,
Okay. If he feels he comes out naked, if he wants to come out naked, yeah, because I have control over my sexual desires and urges. Like, to see a man naked is not getting ready to make me do anything necessarily. Now, would I wonder why he doesn't have on any clothes? Yeah. But does that affect my behavior? No, it doesn't. And if a man come out naked on girls' night, he might be a stripper. I don't know.
Lord, Lord, Lord. And Kelly comment right after list. Kelly said, "So if we are at home and her friends over, is it okay for me to come out in my boxes and tank top?" H no.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It
Really,
is.
Tanya?
Yes, it is. It is okay. If you feel okay, like if you feel okay, like
Ooh.
if you feel okay, I am okay with that. Because anyone who is not in control of themselves and have, a certain issue with that, that tells me a lot about them. No, I don't have a problem with that. I also don't know that like when we're talking about the what ifs, That's an incredible thing to do because I don't necessarily know that I would even be with someone who might necessarily do that. I don't know, but I don't know that I would have a problem with that. I don't. Like if that's how you feel, I'm learning something about you. If the friends have a deal or if that takes them over the edge in some type of way, I'm learning something about them. Like I feel like we just need to have our
Okay.
own self and our own sexual hormones in order. We are adults. Okay? Get it
Mm.
together.
Everybody's not there. Cause like with Kelly, with the camera, with Kelly said the box. Okay, so situation is say for example, like he said, he come out in his boxers and his tank, and your friend is acting as if she doesn't see him,
Mhm.
but you don't think that may open the door. I mean, it does say something about her and would say
Yeah.
something about your mate,
Yeah.
but would that open the door for them to cheat when you not
Yeah.
home?
Yeah, it does. That's exactly
Okay.
what I'm saying, and that is telling me a lot. Yeah, that does.
Okay.
Because you
Okay.
have to take that further. That means that you have no control over your sexual urges and desires. You don't have
Okay.
control over that.
Hmm. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Like if you can't see a person in some boxers and a tank top, you can't see a girl in a bikini or in a low cut or V-neck or some short shorts, you have to ask yourself why. I'm not getting ready to tell that person that they're dressed inappropriate because I generally just don't believe that. I don't think we
Okay.
should put that on them. You want to put all of that on them instead of taking responsibility for your own sexual urges. Like really,
Ooh,
where are you at?
Tanya, we do. Ooh, maybe it's because I listen. I must just be respectful, and for me, I must. I don't like for people to look like what's if I'm with that person, I don't want nobody seeing what I see privately. There's certain things that should just be for my eyes only. That's just how I feel.
Hey, I got
That
you.
so
I dig it.
yeah.
I feel you. I'm not saying you wrong. But the
Okay.
bottom line is, at what point are you taking responsibility for your own hormones?
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, these comments about time. Jamaica says because a lot of people don't have self control, it keeps people from assuming that there's a reason to pause.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Don says some men are different. Wow. And Miss Joy says, Tori, you are definitely correct. Does it mean definitely correct? Okay. And Malik says, girl, stop. The women is the most alluring thing in the world. When you put it on display, that energy is magnetic. A spirit overcomes us.
Listen, we cannot deny that.
Yeah.
We will never deny that. But that still does not mean that you don't take responsibility for your own hormones. Like, why does your sexual hormones take precedence over your brain, over good thought? Like, why?
Yeah. Wow. And Erica says people having control of their thoughts and actions shows maturity, but a lot of people don't have that type of control. They don't.
Exactly.
They
But
don't.
so you had to police it for them?
No, we shouldn't have to police it. They should have a mind of their own. I'm not saying,
Exactly.
but I'm just
That's
saying.
what I'm that is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Donald says Bill Cosby was America's dad. You walk in front of him half naked, he will put something in your drink, married or not. Ooh, Donald. You
Listen,
listen, you're trying to stir some trouble.
you could have had on a turtleneck and walked in front of him and he put something in your drink.
Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Lord have mercy. Kelly said respect is also not putting your mate into situations where they feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying as well. Like I would
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
agree. You shouldn't. You absolutely should not. That's a discussion that you should have.
Mm. And Malik says your man walking around with the tight gray sweats. Meter swing on display. Meter, you would throw some. Stop, Queen sister.
We did talk about that last night.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. I'm just saying.
Control.
I'm just
Now
saying.
I'm all grown up.
Oh my goodness, I'm just saying. Lena says each person's spouse would need to check her own intent. If people are seriously dressing solely for a comfort expression of themselves, then that's fine. But people should totally be aware of whatever consequences incur. One of the consequences of a married woman wearing revealing clothing around our spouse's friends may incur a consequence of her husband wanting to protect her or feel disrespected. She may attract attention from them that she does not want, but she may be able to handle that accordingly.
Respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Kelly, dang a raw meat in front of a lion long enough, eventually he gonna eat. Yep.
I ain't
Yep.
saying, hey, you can be a
Yeah.
lion.
You know what?
You could be a lion. I just happen to
Oh,
be, a human with a brain and with a conscience and with my own thought. You can be a
and
lion.
and Les says if a woman walking around half naked in front of my friends doesn't wait a minute, if a woman walking around half naked in front of my friends, it doesn't matter their level of control. Maybe it's her self-control that needs checking. Like, what the F are you doing and why? What urges do you have? Just saying.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then
Hmm.
sometimes it's done out of attention. Some women and some men like attention. So it all depends on, that mindset of that person as well. So yeah. And Les also says, and if you have dressed, you did it for a reason, in my opinion. Yeah. 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 And Shana says, I also feel how I carry myself is a reflection of myself, my husband, and my marriage. Absolutely. That's all I'm saying. It's a
And that
reflection.
was that in fact, that's what started the whole conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And Jamae says it's respect of self and mate. Yes. And Malik says, even if you don't act, you think it.
Hey, you can think
Mhm.
whatever you want. You can think whatever you like. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And Erica says, I must be a different breed because if I'm meeting a friend who is married or in a relationship and get to their house and they are not at the house when I get there, I'm waiting in the car until they get there. I'm not leaving no opportunities for anything to be said or done while I'm watching, while I'm waiting, and I'm calling to let them know I'm there and waiting in the car. And that's what I do too. Like if I
Okay.
happen to go to a friend's house as well and they're not there and their husband is home, I'm gonna stay in the car. I'm the same way, Erica. I do the same thing. And I actually, what's crazy? I actually had a friend that, well, I thought was a friend, but they said, because those that know me know I'm not skinny. I'm a kind of help, kind of help the girl. But she made a comment that she said, I don't want to ever have you around my husband because he's gonna look. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not like that I was wearing revealing clothing, but I'm not skinny. I'm kind of, help the girl. And she's like, I don't want him looking at you. And I'm like, is that an insecurity that you have? Because it's not like I'm trying to get attention from your husband. But she made a comment like, I'm not, no, I don't, you got to stay in the car because he gonna look because you kind of healthy. He gonna look. I'm like, if that's an issue that you have an insecurity, and then your husband got an issue with wandering eyes, because if that's the case, that ain't don't come off on me because that ain't my problem. I can't help that
Right.
I'm the
And,
way.
and and that's another thing. I mean, it's slightly different, but kind of the same. Within the same vein.
I'm like, what?
That could be a whole nother conversation for us to have. We might pick back up on this, but I will say this.
Yeah.
Um, as
Mhm.
you call it, the wandering eye. Again,
Yeah.
ain't nothing wrong. You got eyes. How can you not see it? Women see it.
Mhm. Mm-mm.
So what is the problem? Once
I think.
again, it is people who are allowing their hormones to have, a hierarchy over their brains. It's okay.
Mhm.
Just admit it. Just admit that to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Admit that to yourself,
Yeah.
and find a way to
Mm.
to get yourself together. You know.
Right. Right.
because
And
that's totally not what we were talking about. But you know,
yeah.
cool.
And Amina says the people who choose to be modest are really doing it, should be doing it out of respect of themselves, not necessarily to prevent others from objectifying them, because true perverts will objectify others regardless of how covered or revealed. That's true too.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
is a very
Yeah.
valid point, you know.
Mhm. Erica says that's an issue he has, but I'm not going to be adding fuel to that particular fire, period. Absolutely. And Kimberly says, let me just say thanks for another good convo, ladies. I'm off on Tuesdays and I always look forward to this podcast. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for that. That
Right,
means so
right,
much.
right.
That means a lot. Amina says, because that thing be thangin'. This is why modesty is a choice that should be executed by the person who desires to be modesty, not because we want others to be modest towards us, because we cannot control others. In fact, we all struggle daily to control ourselves.
That's my
Absolutely.
point. People don't have control of themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know that they don't. But it just,
Hmm.
let us think about ourselves a little bit. I don't want to. I
Right.
don't want to police these things.
Right.
Some things shouldn't have to be. Certain
Hmm.
things shouldn't have to be, and there certainly is not going to be a rule, and nobody's certainly not going to tell me what I can and what is appropriate or not appropriate for me to wear in my
Hmm.
own house. I'm
Right.
just not for that. So I definitely wouldn't uh, offer that to someone else. And then you could say, well, Miss Tanya, would you do that? Well, guess what? No, but I don't feel like anybody gets to make that decision for me. That is my point. That doesn't make me a
Right.
better person. Because
Yeah.
I am conservative doesn't mean that I'm better, that I am the better wife, that I am the better mate. That is my point.
Right. I
That is
get it.
just not how I am comfortable.
Hmm.
But it certainly isn't because of any of the things that I've seen people you know, talk about in these comments.
Right. And Jamaica says that, Tori, I have hips also. Women and men look. Ain't nothing wrong with looking. Some parts can't be hidden. Right.
Once again, we all, like, if you're not blind, we
Yeah.
all have eyes. We see everybody. You see the ones who have, you see the ones who you might think have not.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
thing is, okay, just because you see a woman who happens to be curvier, where does that take your mind? And why? Where does that take your
Right.
mind
Yeah.
and why?
Right. Right.
That's something in you.
Mm-hmm. Amina says, different, not better. I'm learning. Yep. And Erica says, I think the respect you have for yourself will govern what you wear and how you carry yourself. And I'm glad you said that, Erica, because you brought up a point like when I was younger, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my late 40s now, approaching 50. And when I was in my 20s, I would wear, like in college, I would wear the halter tops, the booty shorts and stuff like that. But as you mature in life, you realize, and then of course I've been through some things as well, you realize you don't like or want that type of attention. So it's about the mindset, it's about your maturity and all, all that is a factor. But I can honestly say, based on your comment, is back then I wanted attention. I wasn't getting attention from where I thought I needed to be. So I would wear clothing that was revealing to show my curves, to show my body parts, and have stuff hanging out. But the mindset that I'm in now, I'm mature. I'm in my late 40s, and that's not the type of attention that I want. But I will admit, I was there in my early, late teens, early 20s. I was there, but it's a
Respect.
mindset. Yeah. So
And
yeah,
respect. You say it's a mindset. Say that's your mindset,
yeah.
because there are women who dress sexy, who are
Hmm.
very mature, who are, you know, who know who they are, and that has nothing to do with it. That's what I want to leave with this conversation. Dressing revealing
Mm.
does not make her less of a woman, or like we making her, like, we're stereotyping this. Okay, we can't do that. You can't do that, Mr. Gray Sweatpants.
Kelly, like we can't control Kelly, really? Like we can't control gray sweatpants.
No, you can't. But guess what? I can control me. So you
Um,
can walk in those gray sweatpants. I don't have no problem with that. And if I see, because I got eyes, I'm going to look. But I'm not getting ready to grab you. I don't feel like I got to have you. I ain't got to talk to you. Like none of that. None of that.
yeah,
It's okay.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is okay. So whenever you feel like wearing some gray sweatpants, I'm good with it.
Oh goodness, Erica says all attention is definitely not good attention, and maturity does exist with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Amina says right, and she's laughing.
All right, y'all. Woo.
Ooh, yeah. Oh Lord,
Woo.
sorry, Tanya. Sorry, Tanya. I took us 10 minutes over.
It wasn't you, it's the people. The people had something to say. We couldn't just cut
Yeah,
them off like that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's Talk It Out
yeah,
Tuesday, and that's what we do. We here to talk. We want to invoke conversation, you know? That's what we
yeah.
gotta do.
Look at
Sling low, sweet. I ain't gonna say what else. Ain't nothing wrong. I don't
Kelly.
see
Go do
nothing.
go do something.
Ain't
Go
nothing
be
wrong.
productive.
Swing low.
Oh my
It is
goodness,
sweet.
Kelly off the chain.
Ain't nothing wrong. I don't see nothing wrong. I don't see nothing wrong.
Oh my goodness, this has been another great episode. I
Yeah.
really y'all had me laughing at y'all off the chain. Kelly always cutting up.
You know what? And sometimes that's important, and I'm
Yeah,
glad, like because the conversation was very serious, but it is also important to keep our humor as well, because like again, we've
right.
all had different opinions. We got to hear some different
Mhm,
points of views that aren't necessarily
mhm.
ours. We're not looking to change your mind necessarily. We're looking for you to just hear a different perspective. You know,
Absolutely,
that's how
absolutely.
we learn. That's how we grow. You know.
Absolutely.
And ain't
And
nothing wrong with a little humor. We need to laugh, take the edge off. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. But I am serious about this though.
yeah,
We really do have to think about like why I'm offended by someone who quote unquote I say is dressed inappropriately. Like why does that offend you? You gotta question yourself, not the person who you feel like is dressed inappropriate. What about that is getting at you? Ask yourself that question. That's what I want you to do. Like why is
yeah,
this bugging me?
yeah,
Why does this bother me? Why can't I control me? Why am I like figure that out? Because it's bigger than what the person has on. That's in you, men and women.
and Amina says, "Look, I shared this earlier, and I find it fitting for this. I almost hid myself from me in an attempt to not be seen by you, your eyes, or your eyes proceed to perceive whatever you please. I do not wish to be hidden. I do not wish to control you or your views."
Mm-hmm,
Queen Amina. Ooh,
mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm.
good. Yeah. And TT says, "Woo, what's up, TT?"
TT. That's how I feel, TT. I'm like, woo, child. Y'all don't wore me out. I'm glad I'm at home and we behind these talk bubbles. Y'all don't know what I got on. Or not.
You know what?
Woo, child.
Oh my goodness,
It's
Lord
getting
have
hot in here. All right, y'all.
And Kimberly says, great piece. Absolutely sure was. Snap, snaps, and snaps on snaps.
All
Yeah.
right, Kim, out
So
there in LA, over in Cali, on the West Coast. They say the West Coast is the best side. I don't believe it because we East Coast living. Ain't that right, Tori?
yes, yes. But I do
Mm.
want to visit it. I do want to visit West Side.
Well, the only way you're going to visit is if you get on a plane because I know you don't want to take that drive. So when you change your flight mind, when you stop telling yourself, when you get in
One
your
day,
mind and
one
stop
day.
telling yourself that about an airplane, then you can go.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
We're
done,
gonna we gonna
Tori.
put that's on my bucket list. And Amina says thank you. But y'all, it has been another one for the books. We'll be back to do it again. And Jamaica says West Coast all day. That's what's up. It's been another one for the books. I thank you all for joining, and we're gonna do it all over again next Tuesday. And if you missed the beginning of the show, make sure you hit that replay button. Make sure you share, comment, click, subscribe to to Miss Tonya TV on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Keep the faith with Tori. And make sure you show us some love. And like I said, make sure y'all hit up YouTube and comment in the, show us some love on YouTube as well. Because, our following is huge on Facebook. So make sure y'all show us some love on YouTube as well. And tell a friend who to tell a friend about us. And we're going to do it all over again next week. Peace out, y'all.
What she said. So I ain't even going to say nothing else. Let's get into this breath work. Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. And if nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. All right? Y'all be great out here. That's what we do. One love, y'all.